Good morning, everybody. Welcome, everybody, for joining our session. We are delighted that so many people have shown up here. We've got a full room, so we'll keep this short. We know that everybody is on a busy schedule. We'll just move forward with this. Everybody should be able to see the screen here. Houston document collaboration made easy for everyone. And today we're going to talk about a few things. We have an exciting new product that we're going to demonstrate today a little bit. And it's actually based on Office 365. And I want to talk about what KDEC does in general and some of our expertise. And now we're bringing that particular expertise to the Office 365 platform. And that's a pretty exciting event for us. So what's KDEC? KDEC is the expert in engineering document collaboration. We accelerate project delivery and optimize asset information. So that's a mouthful, and we're certainly not the only ones that do that, but we are one of the very few that actually do that 100% based on Microsoft SharePoint. So if you kind of keep that in mind, then that sets the scene for some of the slides that we're going to show next, right? So these are just two of our reference cases. We have a whole lot more. The first one is where we implemented a complex document control solution for a large oil and gas company to manage all of the offshore platforms in the North Sea. The next one is a little bit more closer to Houston, where we manage the current asset information that's available for this particular company in Houston, where we do interesting things like concurrent engineering. Now, all of this is based on the SharePoint platform, and we thought it was important to also start providing solutions to the Office 365 environment. And so here's another good example of some of the work that we've done. We've worked with a large Department of Transportation, and we've accelerated their actual project work for some of their projects quite a lot. And there's an interesting use case. Feel free to read it, and you'll find out a lot more. Now, what we thought would be important is to kind of take all of that expertise and drill down into what we think are essential elements of what document control is about. And to a great extent, this document control for engineering projects is about who has the ball in court, what do we need to deliver, did they receive it? It's those types of questions. And you can go about it in two ways. You can either say, we provide a document control solution, which what we have been doing very successfully, that manages your full-blown lifecycle, and in a lot of cases you actually need that. But the route that we've taken with this product Taskforce is that we say, well, maybe we don't have the full-blown lifecycle because there's also a lot of smaller projects that don't need all of the complexity. And so why don't we just provide a solution that allows you to track and keep track of your deliverables without necessarily going through all the record management capability that you on the sometimes bigger projects really do need. So for the purpose of today, this is going to be relatively brief here. For the purpose of today, we're going to talk about two different scenarios. Scenario one is where you're an EPC company, and you're doing a project, and for that project you're working with a couple of vendors or suppliers, and those suppliers need to provide documentation to you at a certain date and time, right? So what we're going to walk through is we're going to create a set of placeholders for that particular vendor. Those placeholders are based on a work package because that's how it often works. All the documents, including the work packages, will receive a unique number, and then we will hand out those placeholders, and we can see how somebody can respond to those particular placeholders, right? The second scenario is we have a set of deliverables that we own that are created by us, and I need to be able to track the approval cycle for that particular deliverable. And those are the two main scenarios that we're going to talk about in the next 15 minutes. And obviously we will open up the session for any Q&A and questions that might come up, right? So let's just jump right into it. So I'm going to move over the application here. So what you can see on the screen is a almost out of the box Office 365 environment. And what I mean with almost is that the only thing that we've done is we deployed the KDAC Organized Taskforce SharePoint app. That is one, which gives us a lot of functionality. The second thing that we've done is that we've customized the content types and lookups and document libraries a little bit to mimic what goes on in a project, right? So if you open up this project, and this is a particular maintenance work order for a certain tank, then that maintenance work order is for a tank form replacement, and it has a certain number, TFEEEN001, that's the project number. And we currently have 3 open tasks for this particular project, right? So I can see my dashboard here on the things that are happening on this project. On the left-hand side, if I draw your attention over here, then you can see that we're currently working with 3 different suppliers. A company called ABC Flow Meters, a company called Stanley Drilling Services, and a company called Acme Pumps. But we also need to maintain our own set of deliverables, and what we've done, just to provide some structure on the project, we've split up this project in what we call a tank farm south and a tank farm north, right? So that, just think of any structure that might be applicable to your project, right? So the first scenario, what we're going to talk about, is that we need to provide a set of documents to a contractor. And those documents basically serve as a placeholder so that that particular company, let's say Acme Pumps, then starts to deliver deliverables to you that you can then review and distribute and communicate with your client. That's the first scenario. So keep an eye on the open tasks. We currently only have 3 open tasks. Let's just jump right into that, right? So I'm the owner of this project. I'm the engineering firm. These are the deliverables that I need to communicate to my customer. These are the drawings or documents that I need to receive from the suppliers that we work with. And I've just set up a purchase order with my supplier Acme Pumps, and they need to start delivering all the documentation for a certain set of the pumps, right? They already have 3 packages assigned to them. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to assign a new package, right? So the creation of that particular package, you can either do that directly by using the content type, right? So you could say I'm going to create a vendor work package, or you can use the KDAC Organize application, KDAC Organize apps. That's this little toolbar, and that's the new thing that we add on top of the SharePoint platform to actually generate placeholders, right? And that's a critical element in this whole process. So if I say generate placeholders, we can say, well, you know what, I know that there are going to be 4 purchase orders, so I'm going to create 4 work packages. So I'll say 4. Instead of a general document placeholder, I'm going to select the vendor work package placeholder, right? And you can see that in the bottom, a few things disappear. But what this will do, it will generate 4 empty packages for me, right? So I'll just click the button generate. And now in the background, the system is actually generating those 4 different work packages, right? So generate number 1, 2, all 4 of them are now generated. And if we refresh the screen, we can see that I have placeholder 10, 13, or 10, 11, 12, and 13. All right, interesting. The next step that we're going to do is that I want to assign these placeholders with an official number, because I don't want them to just specify something. Just think of this as maybe your transmittal number, or something that provides logic to what you're communicating with Acme Pumps. So what we're going to do, we're just going to jump into what we call a quick edit. And I do know that 2 of them are assigned to Tank Farm South, and the other 2 are assigned to Tank Farm North. And I forgot to assign this one first. And description, these are all the manuals for PO 817. Oh. And these are all the, those are manuals, these are all the flow sheets for pumps 1 through 17, right? So this is how you can kind of come up with the structure and making sense of what you're providing to that, what they need to provide to you. What we're missing here is that I would like to assign the official numbers. So I can tick box these two. I go back to KDAC Organize Apps and I click the button number. And if I do that, then the system automatically recognizes these particular numbers that it is allowed to assign a number, and it's going to give me a little preview of what the numbering is going to look like. So it's going to name them work package 17 and 18. Okay, cool. So this is a unique number being assigned to these particular work packages. Great. Excellent. So that's kind of step one. We have our work packages defined, but there's nothing in it yet, right? So how does Acme Pumps know that they have to work on certain documents, right? So we said we're going to talk about manuals for PO 817. So the purchase order is 817. It is for the manuals for certain pumps. So we can see there is no documents in it yet. We can see that this one has 3 documents, this one has 5 documents. But now we want to actually generate those placeholders so that we can assign these documents to a supplier so that they can give them back to us, right? So let's just jump into this particular placeholder, into this work package. You can currently see that the work package is empty. There's nothing in it yet. And it's assigned to Tank Farm South. The work package is number 18. It's for this particular project. And our next step would be to then generate the actual placeholder itself, right? So these are the deliverables that need to be provided by Acme Pumps. These are just empty documents. Considering that there are manuals, we want to have some level of control on what the manual looks and feel like. So what we've done here, we've set up a couple of different sort of examples, right? So I could say I want them as a document, or in the case of drawings, that's the one that we're going to use next, you could choose the DWG format, or if you want to receive PDF, you could instruct that particular supplier to provide you with PDFs. In this case, we're going to go for just regular documents, and I'm just going to say 5 of those and hit generate. So I'm expecting 5 documents to be generated by that supplier. And just keep in mind that we're doing this all in a matter of minutes. Nothing really takes a whole lot of time to set this up, right? So here we go. We have our 5 placeholders. And the next thing that we're going to do is we want to assign some structure and some logic to it. So I'll do a quick edit. And let's just delete this. Oh. There we go. I want them to be as revision A.1. That's how I want to retrieve them. And the discipline is all about, oh, sorry about that. Discipline is all about project management. I'm just making it up as I go. And the document type is a report. And the unit is Tank Farm South. Boom. Now what we need is just a couple of descriptions. There we go. So I'm just copy and pasting some values from a spreadsheet. And boom, we got our document set up. What we don't have is the official number that that they need to adhere to, right? So okay, so we've got that Tank Farm South, but we do not have a document number yet, and these are just random placeholders that they need to submit. So let me select all of these, and then also generate the proper document number for these. Right. So again, I select them. I go to the KDAC Organize Apps, and I click on the button number. So here's the 5 different placeholders. The system recognizes the structure, and you can see that the structure here is different. So these are being numbered 39, 40, 41, 42, and 43. And it includes a reference to the actual document type. So if I move this down a little bit, you can see that these are reports, and you can have like a unique sequence per individual document type. So reports are numbered in this way, and other documents are numbered in a different way or have a different sequence, right? So if I hit generate, now the system will actually start to produce these particular files. Right. So now you have two options. You can either send them out individually, or you can send these files out in a package. And it's just a matter of the comfort level that you feel comfortable with. There's pros and cons to both scenarios. It's just a matter of what you feel comfortable with. And you can kind of see that it now automatically renamed these files. The number is officially assigned. We have our metadata properly set. They all have a title, and we're kind of good to go here, right? So I want to send this out as a package to this particular vendor. So I would click on the highest level, Acme Pumps. Here's the manuals. We can see that there's 5 kind of empty documents that are just the placeholders now located in this package. All I would have to do now is say, okay, I'm going to click on this little circle, and for the folks that are familiar with Office 365, this is actually what we add to the Office 365 platform as well. So if you click here, then kind of the magic starts to appear. You can keep track of all of the different tasks that you have been that you've created for this set of files. In this case, there's no task yet, because it's a new package, and we would like to create one additional task to get an update of these files. So I would say add a task, and the reason for issue is documents to deliver, and these are manuals for PO987. I think there's a 1 in there somewhere. And the expected response is that the task needs to be completed, and I need to receive files for this particular set of documents. In this case, I'm just going to select my own name, the elmadorp@kdec.com, and if I select, I can select from a whole list of people that. This is just a drop down in the system. So let's also send it to a few of my colleagues. They really enjoy that if I do that all the time. There we go. Select recipients. So now you can quickly see how easy it is to either just randomly type in an email address, or to select from a predefined list of recipients that you might already have in the system. So the next question is, what is the due date for these files? And according to our contract, we have agreed that the production of these initial set of diagrams need to be completed by the 4th of August. Great. Assigned, included are the official document numbers and empty document templates. Please ensure that the included format is utilized. So that's a little instruction for the person who's receiving it. In addition, I can also set up the CC person, that's the individual, they just get a carbon copy of what needs to happen. So all that's left now for me to do is say create task, and now this whole set of people will receive an email notification informing them that they need to produce these particular files, right? So that's how easy it is to go from, okay, we have a contract. In the contract, I have defined a number of work packages. I want to properly organize those work packages around a certain theme or a certain set of deliverables. We've created the deliverables with the document templates, and we've also handed out those document templates to, as you can see here, those document templates here to a group of people who then need to produce those actual files. So let me just jump into the actual email that the system will send out. Let me just do a quick check. I have not received it yet. Oh, here we go. Here's the email. Okay, perfect. So this email just came in, and so fast forward, I'm the person who needs to create this, right? So we kind of switched role here. So now it says this individual issued a task to you. Documents to deliver, manuals for purchase order 9817. Okay. And they're all related to work package 18. Okay, good. So if I click on this link here, that brings me to the Taskforce application. And the beauty about our solution is that being the recipient is you do not need to have access to Office 365 to your Office 365 environment, right? So this is just an application that runs outside of Office 365. You can send it out to anybody you want. It's a secure message that's completely obfuscated. And the only thing you need is a web browser. You can run this from any web browser you can imagine, right? So here's the task that I need to do. I need to complete this. I've got 25 days left. And the person on the other end now has this on his dashboard to keep track of these particular files, right? So what we're going to do here, we're going to say, okay, excellent. I'm going to download these templates. And here's the template for the work package. And I can click on number 39. And that will actually just open up that particular file. Right, so I can say open up. And that will open up the template that helps me to produce this particular document. So here's a functional design. So let's say this is not functional design, but manual 39, and then I'll hit save as, browse. I'm just going to put them on my desktop. You can see that the file name actually was properly updated. Report 39, save. Excellent. So now just imagine that you would have updated all of these individual files. Your method of responding to that actually is, there's a few things that are interesting now. One, if I go back to the dashboard, so if I click on Home, I can see that there's a few additional tasks, right? And I can see that there's a task assigned to me, documents to deliver for this particular PO. The same obviously is also issued by me, but if I click on this task now on this dashboard, I can see the progression of this particular task. The other thing that I can see is that these tasks are still open, right? So as soon as start people to respond, I can see the distribution. Everybody on this list needs to produce these manuals, and I can see what the progression is of these particular tasks, right? So let's just close out as one of those individuals this particular task. So I'll just go to my desktop, recent used files. Here's the one that I updated, and I drag it back in as the response. Right, so here's my response. Created manual 39 for you. Please take a look at it. At that moment in time, I have the ability to complete my task. Being the recipient, I hit the button confirm. And that closes out my part, being the recipient, that closes out my part of the transaction, right? If we go back to the dashboard here, and we kind of refresh this screen, we can take a look at, okay, so the amount of tasks has gone down to 4. I completed this task. You can see that progress now is 1 of 7 individuals completed it. And if we take a look at the details of this particular task, you can see the progression of 1 individual. So 1 out of 7 completed this particular task. You can see that this person responded on July the 11th. They created a manual for you. Please take a look at it. And here's the actual file that was provided by the person that needs to respond to it. What I can do now is, because the big question now is, okay, so what do I do with it? How do I keep track of that I actually received it and that I can close it out and all that good stuff? So the capability you have now is to copy these files that you are receiving to what we call a clipboard. So I'm going to copy this particular file to the clipboard, which means that if I go back to the original document, Acme Pumps, here's the manual for 817, and it was manual 39. I now have the ability to say, okay, I'm going to override, if we take a look at the version number there, it's version number 9, but I can now paste from the clipboard and override the original file, which means that I've properly received it, and I can update that particular document. So if I hit the tick box, it will override the existing file. This version number will jump from 9 to 10. I hit paste, which means that I then have the updated Word document that I received from my vendor. Right. Oh, not yet. Let me do another refresh. And now this is jumped at number 10. So if I open this up, obviously we will see that this now is listed as manual 39. Ta-da! So obviously this can go on for all of the different documents. You can see that it was updated. You can keep track of when it was updated. And at some point when all of the documents are provided, you then have the ability to say, okay, this is great. We're done with this particular task. I'm completely going to close out the documents that need to be delivered. I can see that one person has completed it. I'm happy with it. I'm satisfied. I'm going to close this task and close it completely out. What we can then see is that the little circle on the left-hand side is going to jump from a yellow indicator, meaning something needs to happen, to just a black indicator with a little tick box. So you can quickly see that tasks are completed for this individual package of files. All right. So in this first scenario, we've gone from I need to work with a supplier. The supplier has been given a set of documents that they need to deliver. I've given them a template on which they need to base their particular file that they need to update. I can keep track of whether they are providing me with the files or not. And they have access to I've given them access to those individual files without me opening up our Office 365. They can directly have access to these files. Right. The second scenario that I want to talk about, and if we now take a look at, by the way, at the dashboard again, you can see that the dashboard now dropped down to 3 tasks that we need to complete, because the task for completing or for issuing those documents has been completed. Right? So you can always keep track. You will always know what the status is of your project. Tank Farm South. So the next part could be is that we want to keep track of deliverables that we want to maintain. Let me see where I had them. Okay, those were just a bunch of placeholders. So let's again, we can do the same thing. We can say, okay, I'm going to create a set of placeholders. But instead of the Word document, I'm looking for a PDF file. Right? Let's say it's 2 of them. Generate. And then we have our 2 new placeholders. Once these placeholders are created, the story is essentially the same. You would go into the library, you say quick edit, then you have the ability to say this is a certain discipline. Let's say it's civil and process, and the document type is project plan, and it's calculations. But I do not have the document number yet. But I do have 2 different titles. I'm just doing a copy and paste from Excel here. Hello Access, here's on my 2 different titles. So I got a general specification for steel and specification for overhead. And the revision that we need to receive, the first revision that we need to get is revision 0. Now I can do the exact same thing. I can select those individual files. I can say provide a number. And then the placeholder will be generated with the official number. Right? So I say generate and close. What we did previously is that we executed the process on a set of files. But what I would like to show now is that you can do the exact same process on the individual file. Right? So this little circle here allows me to say, okay, this general specification needs to be created by one of our internal engineers. So what I can do the exact same thing. I say add a task. And the first step that I'm going to do is say it needs to be delivered for client review. That's step number one. And I need to have at least one file. And again, it goes to me. I'm usually the busy individual here, kdeck.com, and it needs to be done by the end of the week. Create task. So what this does, it is going to create a task for me before the end of the week. It needs to be completed, where I need to deliver this actual PDF. Right. But what if I don't want to use this PDF as a placeholder? I just want to use the file name. So let me look up a general sort of PDF. All right, here's a interesting PDF. Okay, so we have our new task that was issued to you. A task issued by you is nearly overdue, close before Friday, July the 14th. Here's the document that we need to work on, and it's going to be used for client review. And if I click on this PDF, I can see the actual placeholder and the task that I need to work on. So I can open this up, which essentially results into an empty placeholder, right? So okay, thank you. I've worked on the document that I want to work on. Oh, hold on, these are still the old. I'm getting lost in my own screen here. Just let's start that over. Let's open up this PDF. Yes, we've opened it up. And then let's open up the actual task. There we go, that's better. So documents delivered for client review. I've worked on that particular PDF. There's not a result just yet. So let's just take one of those files that we want to update. Is my document. There we go. Oops. As always, sometimes demos don't work the way you want them to be. Looking good. And close the task. Perfect. So now we have issued the task. We can see that this task is now closed. It's kind of surprising that I did not have to deliver a project. But what we're going to see now is that what we're going to take a look at is that I can do a second round of tasks to start the actual review process. So in step one, we've asked somebody to deliver it. In step two, we're going to ask an individual to perform a review on this individual file. So we're going to add a task not to deliver for approval. Let's say it's for approval by client. And the expected response is just complete or reject. It will go to me again. And the due date is the end of the month. And we're going to create another task. Now, I can rerun the same scenario, but the point that I wanted to make is that in this overview here, you will always see what the full history is of this particular file. So I can see that it was delivered, the due date was the 14th, and it was completed on the 11th. And then we started the approval by client, which has a due date of the 31st, but it has not been completed just yet. So in this way, Taskforce really helps you keeping track of the documents that need to be delivered. It helps you with numbering the official documents. You can generate templates that people need to adhere to, and it helps, it really supports you getting the project under control when you're running complex projects. So now we can see there's 5 different tasks. Again, one of them is assigned to me. These are the tasks that I have issued, and from this dashboard you can quickly get an overview of all of the tasks that have been performed in the past, etc., etc. Right, so you can see that there's a lot of demos that we've done and 94 open tasks. This kind of concludes the end of the scenario. I would like to thank everybody for his and her attention. Let's move this one over. There we go. We're going to open up the floor for some questions. All right. The first question is: does it work? Which version of SharePoint do you need? That's the first question that I see here. So the answer to that is actually we kind of advertise that it works with Office 365, and it does. It completely works with Office 365. It's an extremely lightweight install of just a few minutes, and you're literally up and running in very quickly, and it's out of the box productivity gains, right? However, because of how we architected the application, it also works with your SharePoint on-premise environment. So if you do have a client or a use case where you would like to communicate files with the outside world without opening up your SharePoint to the outside world, then this application can really be of a lot of benefit. The minimum is SharePoint 2013. So if it's on-premise, SharePoint 2013 or 2016, and if it's in the cloud, then it's just the current release for Office 365. The next question is a little bit about workflow. So the question is, can we use additional workflow engines? The answer is obviously yes, because the integration that we have is very, very lightweight, and you can use any other product from Workbox, Nintex to Microsoft Flow to manipulate and use the files that are in the SharePoint system. They're all stored in the SharePoint system. We simply keep track of any activity that goes on with that file and tasks that are being issued on behalf of this file. So the answer is yes, you can use additional workflow engines with this system. Any other questions? All right, considering that there's no more questions, then I would like to close this session. Thank you very much for your attention. Please feel free to reach out and connect, and hope